U.S. State Department approves potential $2.3 billion Black Hawk helicopter sale to Norway. The United States has approved a possible $2.3 billion sale of 21 UH-60M Black Hawk helicopters to Norway, the U.S. Department of State announced on August 21, 2026, giving Norwegian forces a major boost in tactical air mobility for conventional and special operations. The fleet would strengthen Norway's ability to move troops, equipment, and combat teams rapidly across difficult terrain and the demanding Arctic environment. The proposed package combines the UH-60M's troop lift capacity with mission systems, weapons, training, and support to create a protected and networked rotary wing capability. For Norway, the helicopters would expand the Army and Special Operations Forces' ability to deploy quickly, sustain dispersed units, and operate with NATO forces across the strategically important High North. The U.S. Department of State approved a possible $2.3 billion foreign military sale to Norway for 21 UH-60M Black Hawk multi-role helicopters and an extensive package of mission systems, weapons, training, and support. The prospective acquisition would deliver a major increase in tactical rotary wing capacity as Norway strengthens its Army and Special Operations Forces. More than a helicopter purchase, the package points toward a heavily protected, networked aviation capability designed for demanding land, special operations, and Arctic missions. The approval was announced by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Political Military Affairs under Congressional Notification Transmittal 2683. Norway has requested 21 UH-60M Black Hawks, 46 T-700G701D engines, 25 and AAR-57 Common Missile Warning Systems, 25 Common Infrared Countermeasure Systems, 25 and APR-39 EV-2 Radar Warning Receivers, 50 Eagle M429 Embedded GPS Inertial Navigation Systems, 100 and ARC-231A radios and 18 M240H machine guns. The broader configuration is particularly significant, encompassing laser warning systems, ballistic armor, MX-10D electro-optical infrared sensors with laser capabilities, Link 16, degraded visual environment equipment, rescue hoists, fast rope systems, external fuel tanks, medical evacuation equipment, and multiple weapons provisions. The $2.3 billion estimate represents a complete operational, training, and sustainment package rather than simply the cost of 21 aircraft. The quantities also point to sustainment depth. 21 twin-engine helicopters require 42 installed engines, while Norway is requesting 46, and several defensive systems are being sought in quantities greater than the planned aircraft fleet. The requested equipment provides a strong indication of how Norway intends to employ the UH-60M. Snow skis, winterization equipment, engine inlet barrier filters, additional cabin heating and auxiliary fuel systems would support operations across severe climates and widely dispersed operating locations. Fast rope equipment, rescue hoists, ballistic protection, electro-optical sensors, and provisions for M240, M134, and M3M machine guns would enable configurations for troop transport, special operations, casualty evacuation, personnel recovery, and other tactical missions. Equally important is the survivability architecture. The combination of missile, infrared, radar, and laser warning equipment suggests aircraft intended to operate in a contested threat environment, rather than functioning solely as peacetime utility transports. Link 16 and an extensive mix of VHF, UHF, HF, and satellite-capable communications would further allow the helicopters to operate as connected elements within wider Norwegian and NATO tactical networks. For Norway, the strategic value of the Black Hawk lies heavily in mobility. Oslo has already committed to substantially increasing helicopter capacity for the Army and Special Operations Forces, while its Bell 412 fleet is being upgraded to maintain support from Bardufoss and Rig until replacement aircraft enter service. Norwegian planning calls for new helicopters supporting land operations and aircraft specifically adapted to special operations, making the prospective UH-60M procurement part of a broader force development requirement rather than an isolated acquisition. Bardufoss is especially important. The Norwegian Armed Forces describe it as the largest military garrison in northern Norway and, together with Cedarmoen and Skjold, a military power center in the north. Moving from the smaller Bell 412 to the UH-60M would consequently represent a qualitative increase in Norway's ability to move personnel, equipment, and combat power between dispersed locations and support army formations operating in strategically sensitive northern territory. That mobility has growing geostrategic importance. Norway occupies NATO's northern maritime and Arctic approaches, shares a land border with Russia, and must be capable of reinforcing forces across difficult terrain where fixed transport infrastructure can be limited or vulnerable. NATO stated in July 2026 that the Arctic and High North are increasingly important to collective security, while Finland and Sweden's accession has strengthened the alliance's regional posture and Arctic capabilities. A Norwegian Black Hawk fleet would also add a Nordic interoperability dimension. Sweden already operates 15 UH-60MS as Helicopter 16 and received U.S. approval in 2024 for another 12 aircraft, creating potential opportunities for closer training, operational and support cooperation between neighboring NATO members using the same platform. Combined with U.S.-compatible communications and Link 16, that commonality could make the UH-60M an increasingly useful element of NATO's Northern Rotary Wing ecosystem. Lockheed Martin's Sikorsky business in Stratford, Connecticut, has been identified as the principal contractor, although the notification remains an approval for a possible foreign military sale rather than a finalized $2.3 billion contract, with the eventual configuration and value subject to subsequent agreements. The transformative effect would come not simply from replacing older helicopters, but from changing how Norwegian land and special operations forces can generate combat power across the Arctic. A fleet of 21 UH-60MS equipped for winter operations, protected against multiple threat types and connected through secure communications, could give commanders greater freedom to move assault teams, reconnaissance elements, medical support, and critical supplies between dispersed positions without relying as heavily on roads, fixed airfields, or predictable ground routes. For the Army, that would strengthen the ability to reinforce and sustain units across northern Norway. For Special Operations Forces, it could expand the range, speed, and flexibility of insertion, extraction, and recovery missions. In operational terms, the Black Hawk fleet could therefore extend Norway's effective military reach across the High North by turning rotary wing mobility into a more persistent, survivable, and rapidly deployable component of its northern defense posture. If completed, Norway's acquisition of 21 UH-60M Black Hawks would represent far more than the replacement of an aging helicopter capability. It would give Norwegian land and special operations forces a more powerful combination of tactical lift, advanced self-protection, secure communications, sensors, weapons integration, and Arctic operating equipment, while improving their ability to deploy independently and alongside allied forces. The strategic effect would be particularly pronounced in northern Norway, where distance, climate, and limited infrastructure make rotary wing mobility a critical military asset. As NATO devotes greater attention to defending the High North, a Norwegian UH-60M fleet would strengthen not only national responsiveness, but the alliance's ability to move, reinforce, and sustain combat forces across one of Europe's most strategically demanding frontiers.